Okay, class. Welcome to our first online lecture. Um, let me begin by going over some updates. Um, so, as I'm sure all of you are aware, the virus continues to spread like wildfire across the United States. You can see it's pretty evident on this dashboard here. I mean, if you look at this, zoom out, look at this whole thing. It's like the entire world is sick. Okay. Um, Uh, so bottom line, I guess, is just to make sure you protect yourself. Okay. Now I know that the virus rarely kills younger people, and that's true. But there have been cases where younger people have died, and even if the infection isn't fatal, it can still leave you with permanent damage to the lungs. So, you wanna protect yourself from the virus if you can. Avoid contact with other people. Follow, what everyone's been doing with the social distancing. Stay at home, um, and that'll have a positive benefit not only for yourself, but it'll have a positive externality as well by reducing the overall transmission of the virus and protecting others in your community. Okay. um, Again, I'm sure all of you read the email, but just a quick recap for the situation with the school. So the campus is closed for the remainder of the semester. All courses are going online starting this week. Graduation is delayed until June the 21st. Now, you guys don't worry about this affecting, I mean, even if the graduation ceremony itself is canceled, obviously you'll all still be receiving your diploma in the mail, okay? But right now, the ceremony has been put off until late June, and we'll still have to see whether that goes forward. Um, the pass-fail option, this is actually pretty significant. The pass-fail option has been extended for 2 additional courses, even courses within the major. That's typically not allowed. Now, I don't really advise you to do this unless you're thinking that you're going to get below a C in the class, okay? But that's something to be aware of. If you take the pass-fail option, the grade doesn't count towards your GPA, assuming you pass. It just won't change your GPA. Okay. If you fail, it'll still lower your GPA. Okay. But if you pass, it won't affect your GPA. And finally, the deadline to pass, fail, or to withdraw from a class has been extended to the 10th of April. Okay. um, Finally, in terms of our class, so online office hours are Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. The link is up there on Piazza now. Please come with any questions that you might have about the assignments or about the class in general. Will and Taylor, Will, I know I missed you yesterday, but I'm sure we'll be able to see each other on Wednesday. And same thing goes for you, Taylor. Make sure you come to office hours. Okay. So overall, though, I mean, the situation is that life goes on. I know it seems really severe right now, but the thing with these epidemics is they come and go very quickly. So I'm hoping that over the next couple of weeks, the situation will stabilize and turn itself around. Assuming the graduation ceremony isn't put off, I'm looking forward to seeing many of you walk come June. Okay, so we got to get through this epidemic, and we got to get through the rest of this semester and the rest of this class. So let's begin then with a quick review of what we were doing before all of this happened. So you'll recall that we were examining a machine learning algorithm called the random forest model, a model that, as you guys saw from the news, is seeing widespread adoption across many fields, fields like medicine, finance, predicting sports outcomes even. Okay. And like a regression, this random forest model is really cool because it can predict the value of a single dependent variable given many independent variables. Okay? And we learned last week, or when the last time we had class, that these random forests are actually based on something called a decision tree. Okay, the reason they're called random forests is because they're constructed from a large number of these decision trees. And we spent that week not talking about random forests specifically, but instead looking at these underlying decision trees. And so you can see here, here's a picture of the decision tree that we were working with. And you'll recall that the way these trees work is they work almost like a game of 20 questions. And they sort of classify data by successively splitting the data set based on a series of yes-no criteria. Okay? And so, for example, the one that we were looking at was that Titanic data set, right? And we saw basically that, we asked the tree to try to predict whether certain individuals were going to survive the sinking of the Titanic or not. And what the tree did was it reduced that question into a series of these splits. So for example, first it ascertained whether or not you were a male. And if you were a male, you went over here. And if you're a female, you went over here. Okay? And then depending on whether you're a male or female, then you are asked, okay, well, what's your passenger class? And then subsequent to that, what's your age? And then at the end point of all of these sort of branching questions is a final, what's known as a terminal node or terminal leaf that basically predicts the probability of survival for that specific group. Okay. So I think these trees are a lot of fun, okay, and they're a cool way to be able to visualize this process. Now, we also found out towards the end of our assignment that we can control how these trees are grown. When we use that function to grow the trees, there were some conditions that we could set. And these conditions are called hyperparameters. We'll see this term come up again, hyperparameters. Okay? And what we found was by changing the value of the hyperparameters, we could grow either a very simple tree, a very small tree with very few branches, or we could grow a much more complicated looking tree with many, many branches. Okay? So, so that's sort of a recap of what we accomplished the last time that we had class. We focused on these decision trees. So this week, we're going to dispense with the decision trees and begin looking at the entire forest. Okay? So that's the end of this first mini video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.